Chat. This is a show that attempts to introduce our community to some of the wonderful international people who are living here. You know, 50 years ago, Haverhill was a town of mostly European immigrants, Italian, Greek, I believe, and now you find we have many different nationalities living here in our community. You only have to go to the grocery store to see the aisles of so many different foods to know that we have these nationalities living here among us. Well, today we have somebody special, and he is from the Netherlands. We want to introduce to you Bryan Haboldt. Bryan has only been here a few weeks, actually.
2 weeks, 13 weeks.
Yes, and so we just welcome you, Bryan.
Thank you,
And today I'm really excited, even before the show. You've stirred up some discussion about the Netherlands.
That's true.
And so we all want to hear those things you were talking about even before the show. So let's just begin with talking about the location of the country.
Yeah. I live in the north of Holland. You have 12 provinces in the Netherlands. And I live in a province that's called North Holland, and I live all the way in the top, a city called Den Helder. I live at the sea, so it's wonderful. I can drive 2 minutes on my bike, and then I'm at the sea. So it's a wonderful view to see. It's a pleasure to be here, by the way, in your show. Thank you for the invitation.
It's great to have you. It's really fun to hear all the different nationalities and customs and cultures, and we hear about these things in our schools and so forth, but until we meet real live people and get acquainted, we just really don't understand that we are all so much alike. And I usually begin the show by saying one thing we have alike is that we all have a desire to be perfectly loved, and that can only come through God. And I know that is part of your life too, Bryan.
That's true.
So when did you came here a few weeks ago,
I came here a few weeks
what was
ago.
your purpose?
My purpose. When I was 6 years old, I was on vacation in Spain with my whole family. And we were at an evening at the beach, at the boulevard, because there was a firework show. And there were a lot of tourists. So at one moment, I lost my family.
Oh.
I lost my family, and I was 6 years old in the town. I was there a few times before, but I was young. So I didn't know what to do, so I started walking through a direction that I knew to go. And when I walked there, there was a lot of fear in me because I didn't know where to go. So what I did, and my parents learned me that, is I cried out to God. And when I cried out to God, I said, Lord, I don't know what to do. Would you bring me back to my parents? And I can remember that moment when God spoke to me and I felt His presence, and He told me, Bryan, it's all going to be all right. And after 2 hours for searching, I found my family again, and it was just a great experience to feel the presence of God in my life.
At 6 years old.
At 6 years old. And I keep that always. So I always believed in God. I was raised in the church. At the age of 12, I chose completely for God. I was baptized with the Holy Spirit. And at an age of 15, there was a missionary in the Netherlands to preach. And he prophesied over my life that I will become a preacher and speak for a lot of people.
Wow.
So at that moment, I'm 18 years old right now, there was being a desire in my life to go for God, to preach His word, to do His will. And I think when I graduated last May from high school, I needed to choose for another degree to go for a bachelor degree. And when I looked in the register of bachelor degrees, I could not find a degree of being prepared, trained and teach for the ministry in the Netherlands. But I found a school here in Haverhill called North Bible College. So I decided to move to this college because there's such a desire that what God gave to me, a new life, healing, forgiveness, I wanted to reach that, to preach that to other people. And that's the reason why I came here, all the way to the United States.
Yes, yes, at 18.
At 18.
First time you've left home?
First time I left home. I've been with two friends once a time to camping for a few days, but I never left home. I've never been out of Europe before, so it's all very new. When my mother heard about this experience, she was not very happy, but she supports me and she believes in the call of God all my life, so that gives her the strength.
Someone came with you when you registered. Who was that?
That's true. My pastor came with me,
Oh.
and my mother came with me. And my pastor from the Netherlands is originally from Rhode Island.
Oh, he is?
He is, and he is also a graduate from North Point Bible College a few years ago, and he is now a missionary in the Netherlands. So he informed me, and
So that was basically more your connection to
he was
for
my
this school.
connection. He was my connection point to this school.
Ah, that's wonderful. Did
Yeah.
you tell me that his wife is a graduate of?
His wife is also a graduate from North Point Bible College, and she is originally from the Netherlands. So he has done the same
That's-
thing as me a few years ago. So they are my connection point to this school.
Oh, I love to hear that.
Yes,
Well, let's talk about the Netherlands some
Yes.
more.
yes,
You talked about a short bike ride.
that's true. A lot of people ride the bike in the Netherlands.
lot.
A lot. I think I searched it up on the internet. 37% of the transportations are going with the bike in the Netherlands.
I believe that.
And in the United States, it is 0.5%. So that's a huge difference. And I think one of the main reasons why that is because the distances in the Netherlands are a lot closer than here in the United States. We can drive with the car from all the way north to the south in 2.5 hours. So that's the main reason why we bike a lot.
Right, right. You know, we were in the Netherlands. We got off the train in Amsterdam,
Yes.
and I have never seen so
Yes.
many bikes
Yes.
in my life. They're all parked. It's like a car park, but
That's true.
it's just bikes
That's
and
true.
bikes.
Yeah. The train is also very popular in the Netherlands, but the people are going to the train with their bike. So there are like many bikes
Yes.
stated there.
Yeah, and the other thing I noticed is that the streets are prepared for bikes. There's a
Yeah.
bike lane.
Yeah, not the highways, but almost every way has a lane for a bike. That's just normal.
Right, right. So it's wonderful that the country has kept
Yes,
that
yes,
move.
yeah.
And
We
much
have
cleaner air, I think.
That's true. We have 16.5 million people that are living in the Netherlands, and we have 18 million bikes. So we have more bikes than people, and
Wow.
we use them. So
Wow, that is great.
it's great.
Well, one thing that your country's famous for, and I love, are the flowers,
Flowers. The flowers are amazing.
the tulips.
Yes, the tulips.
When is that festival? When does that happen?
It's happening around, I think around May, April, May. I think that is the months that are the tulips field really beautiful, and tourists all around the world are coming here. There you can see them, the orange tulips. They're beautiful.
Just fields of them. It's
The
so
fields.
beautiful.
And a lot of students are driving with a bike to the school, and you just ride next to the tulip fields. It is wonderful to see, and we exported the flowers all across the world. So
Yes, yes,
they're really famous.
yes. You got to experience fall here this year.
Oh yes, yes.
So that was new for you.
It was amazing, indescribable to see in New England. The trees are beautiful. The colors, they're color red, orange, all the colors, and it is wonderful to see. It is wonderful to see how beautiful God's creation is.
Isn't it?
It amazes me every time.
Yes.
It amazed me.
Yes. As you talk about the tulips, it made me think of, we drive through the trees in the
Yes.
fall and we
Yes.
have that beautiful,
Yeah.
but I know that to see fields and fields of
Yeah.
tulips like that,
Yeah.
it's just breathtaking when
It is
you're
beautiful.
there.
Yeah.
So do you think people take that for granted during the spring, or do they just really enjoy it every year
We
too?
really enjoy it every year. But when I came here and I talked so much enthusiasm about the fall, the people here were like, yeah, it's beautiful, but it's normal, it's our thing. And it's the same with me. It's beautiful, the tulip fields, but it's our thing. We have it every year, and it's beautiful, we enjoy it.
Yeah, there's something else that your country is known for, or we think of. We say Holland, and we think of your old-time shoes.
The old-time shoes, yeah. The wooden clocks. They're from the Netherlands. It's a cultural thing, and the farmers are wearing these shoes.
They still wear them? Some?
Some. Some. I know some people that are wearing them every day to work, to school, but it's not really a popular thing anymore.
They're just picking up on the old time.
Yes, and I think it's not comfortable.
I would think.
Some people think it's comfortable. I don't think so. But back in the days, it was a really popular shoe.
Yeah. Well, when we were there, it was about this time of year, and the Christmas celebration was starting.
Yes.
So you want to tell us about what's happening today in the
Today.
Netherlands?
We celebrate Christmas in the Netherlands, of course, but Christmas is not the greatest fest during this month, because today, when we're recording in the Netherlands, Sinterklaas arrived.
Sinterklaas.
Sinterklaas. And Sinterklaas, he is looking like the paus, I think.
Like the Pope.
The Pope.
We would
I
say
mean
the
the Pope,
Pope or a
excuse me,
cardinal.
Yeah, he looked like the Pope, and he lives in Spain with his servants. And the last few days he was traveling with a boat from all the way to Spain to the Netherlands, because it's his birthday about 3 weeks on December the 5th. And on his birthday he is going to give all the children in the Netherlands presents. So that is like our Santa Claus.
So the story is that he comes from Spain.
That's true.
Now, when we were there, the background that we heard, and you can correct if it's not right, was that the Roman cardinals, Holland was basically under the religion, the Catholic religion, and it was everywhere.
Yes.
And so a cardinal would come from Spain, and he would bring people with him, and they would give gifts.
Yes.
And that kind of is where that all began.
Yes.
So now you have this kind of Christmas character,
Yeah.
Sinterklaas, that comes from
It's-
Spain, and
yeah.
he looks like a
Yes.
cardinal in
Yeah,
red
that's true.
clothes
Yeah.
and the pointy hat.
Yeah, that's
And-
true. He is Catholic, and they also celebrate it in Belgium, and I think that are the only 2 countries in the world, maybe I'm wrong, that are celebrate Sinterklaas.
And he comes by boat.
He comes by the boat, so all the children are gathering by the harbor to look for Sinterklaas, to wave at him, and then he's gonna make a ride to the city with his horse, with his white
a
horse.
white horse.
His name is Americo. That's the name of the white horse.
Oh, he has a name too.
He has a name, yes. And all the children are getting candies. Like with Christmas, the American people are hanging up socks for presents. We, as people in the Netherlands, are setting our shoe. We sing a song for the shoe. We give some food for the horse. And then at night, Sinterklaas is coming with his horse, walking on the roof, and give the presents.
The horse is on the roof.
The
Isn't
horse
that
is on the
funny
roof.
how these things
Yes,
all get
yes,
mixed up
yes.
together?
Yeah,
That
because
is
if
funny.
Sinterklaas is something similar as Santa Claus. You can hear it in the name.
Exactly,
Yes.
exactly. But he comes on a white horse and he's on
Yes,
the roof.
On the roof, yeah, yeah.
You just wonder where
All
some of these
all the children are loving it.
Now, we were talking beforehand about his helpers
Yes.
that come with him.
Yes.
Actually, if the story's true about the cardinal, they were probably some of the pages or whoever who came with him and helped
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
And they handed out gifts to children. But
Yes.
tell our audience what's happening today with that.
Today, the people that helping Sinterklaas,
There
the
they are.
servants, there they are.
They're in blackface.
They're
by the way.
blackface. That's coming because they are going downstairs from the roof. How do you call it?
Through the chimney.
To
They
the
come.
chimney,
They are
yes.
the ones who go down the chimney and deliver the.
Yes, and that's why their face is black. At the moment, there is a kind of people are not happy anymore because they think it's racist, because the face is black instead of white. So yeah, today when Sinterklaas arrived, there were like 60 people that are brought into jail because they are really rebellious against this fest.
Oh, so they're holding.
The police was working really hard today to stop these people that are not agree with it.
Wow, wow, that's interesting, and,
Yeah.
and really it just comes from the chimney soot idea.
That's true. That's
And,
true. So they're trying to give black peat a different color now, so maybe yellow or green or red, to make it more for all the people.
So that's the name of these helpers, Black
Yeah,
Pete.
Black Pete. Yeah,
Oh,
that's his name.
It was so fun to hear all the different cultures
Yes.
and how these things, the stories, how they get tied together,
Yes.
and historically where some of these things come from, especially at Christmas time, because most countries have some kind of a Christmas story. So let's talk about, what's the rule of England, Holland?
Holland. What do you mean?
Or the
rule?
Netherlands? What kind of, you have parliament, do you have
Yes.
your king, queen?
We have a king. The name of the king is King Willem-Alexander, and we're fairly glad. Last year, the new king was introduced, and it was about 120 years that we had no king, because the last 2 or 3 generations were queens.
Oh, really?
So we're very glad we have a king again.
So this is a son that has grown up now and he's made king.
Yeah, the last 3 generations were all girls that were the oldest, so they become queens. But now we have a king again. We have also a parliament, a kind of president of that parliament that make all the decisions and the plans for the Netherlands. So the king is not has not the most power or reign in our country.
So it's similar to the English style.
Yes.
Yeah, but that's great. We all love kings and queens and
Yeah.
and royalty,
Yeah.
and we like to imagine what it's
Yeah.
like to be
Yeah.
in that kind of
That's true.
situation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Bryan, what kind of food do you have in the Netherlands? I always ask about the food. We
Yeah.
all love food.
I brought some pictures of the food. We have some products that are really from our country. We have the cheese, the big round cheese.
Yes.
Which is amazing. It tastes really, really well. We have also a lot of cows in the Netherlands, so fresh milk, and the cheese is very quality.
Is yogurt big?
Yogurt is also big.
Very
It's a big
big.
thing. Yeah. We also have the herring, because we have so much water around us. That's also very popular. We call these herrings Dutch new herrings. That's a translation of that. We have also sprinkles, and when I came here, we took the sprinkles on ice cream, but in the Netherlands, we take sprinkles on our bread at breakfast.
Sprinkles, like
Sprinkles,
we do on. Oh,
as you look on the picture.
Oh, yes,
You guys
yes.
do it on the ice cream.
Yes.
We do it on our bread during breakfast or during lunch.
is that with butter or something
It's
to
with
make
butter.
them stick?
It's with butter to make them stick. So I miss that here. So sometimes in the morning in the cafeteria, I walk to the ice cream because there are the sprinkles standing. So I put a little bit sprinkles on my bread. So I have a kind of Dutch breakfast.
And what do the other students say when they see that?
You can't do that, you're gonna die. That's what they're saying. But the other students are taking like hamburgers and potatoes in the morning.
Donuts and all these things that are not
So
good for you.
actually, I'm feeling a little bit healthier than them.
You probably are. You
We
probably
also
are.
have the syrup waffles. We call them stroopwafels. That's a really popular cookie in the Netherlands. You can see it on the picture. You have syrup in
Yes.
between. It's really popular. A few weeks ago, my mom sent me a package from the Netherlands with these syrup waffles in it. So that was a really
You know,
surprise.
that's my favorite too.
That's
Our
true.
daughter travels from Africa through Amsterdam here, and she always brings me a box
Yes.
of those, and they are wonderful. They're just the right size
Yeah.
to set on top of
That's
a cup
true.
of coffee.
Yeah, cup of coffee.
And that melts that caramel in there
Yeah.
just a little bit. And
Yeah.
Wow, it's good stuff.
Yeah, when we drink tea or coffee in the afternoon or in the morning, we take that cookie or something similar.
That's wonderful.
It's wonderful.
It's wonderful.
It is.
What would be a typical evening or dinner meal for your family?
Most of the time, I think 3 or 4 times a week, the average Dutchman is taking dinner with potatoes, meat, and vegetables. These 3 things are the most common dinner that we take in the
Do
Netherlands.
you do a lot of salad? Do you?
We have salad, but it's more a vegetable like, I don't know the names right now, but
Yeah. I mean, the climate dictates the food
yeah, that's true.
and the resources like the sea and so forth. But
Yeah.
so
There's also a lot of seafood available because we're living so close to the sea and we have so much water around us.
cabbages. Northern climates are usually big for cabbages and that
We
kind
have
of
them
thing
too.
too.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's wonderful. Well,
Yeah.
tell me about your home and
Yeah, I live in a city called Julianadorp, and Juliana, the first part of the word, is the name of the queen 3 generations ago. So she opened the town, and Dorp, what is the second part of that word, means village. So you have Juliana village, and in that village are living probably like 50,000 people. I brought some photos from that city, from my town. It's really quiet. It's nearby the city. It's really close to the beach. So that's amazing.
okay. There's a wonderful, wonderful story, a true story that's affected the world, I think. Corrie ten Boom.
Corrie ten Boom, yes.
I want to talk a little bit about
Yes.
her and your perspective of that story.
Yeah. Corrie ten Boom, she was a woman in the Second World War who were hiding Jewish people in her house.
But she was not Jewish.
She was not Jewish, no.
I think Presbyterian maybe was the...
Maybe. But her father and her brother and her sister, they were in a house. Her father had kind of a store with watches. So they were hiding a lot of Jews in her house. And then one day, the people of Germany came in her house, discovered it, and they all went to a camp in Germany. And so far as I know, her father passed away, her brother, her nephew, her sister, and Corrie ten Boom was the only one left after the Second World War
Yes.
who came back to the Netherlands.
She has one of those survivors of the
Holocaust.
camps, yes, and she has told the horrors that they went through. But when you go there in Amsterdam, you can go through her house.
Yes.
The watchmaker's shop is first floor.
Yes, that's true.
And then you go upstairs and you go into a back room, a bedroom. And I think there's a bookcase.
Yeah.
And behind that bookcase, when they thought Germans were coming,
Yeah.
they would pull some shelves out.
That's true.
And they would squeeze these people
Yeah.
in behind there.
Yeah.
And I don't know, 8 or 9 people just packed in that little
true.
space behind the wall
Yeah.
for 2 or 3 days at a time.
Without
so it was
food.
just, yes, without food.
Yeah, you had these kind of second walls where they were hidden. It was very brave from the people that did these things. After the Second World War, Corrie ten Boom was called to the Queen, and she was honored by the Queen. And after that moment, she was traveling all around the world. She wrote books and teach the people about how to forgive these German people because of what they have done.
Yes.
And that's also a fruit of the Spirit that Jesus learns us, to forgive the people that have done horrible things against us.
Yes.
And I think we all have a kind of experience that somebody hurt us, but Jesus asked us to forgive them and to make it right with them.
Yes. And she and her family did not have to go through these horrors. They did this because of the love of God.
That's true. That's true.
And they knew that God loved the Jewish people, and these were atrocities. And so they put themselves in harm's way and actually died saving these Jewish people. And there have been reports even from the Jewish people who were saved. It's just an amazing story, and it makes us wonder that what would we stand for if it came to that? If we had to put our life on the line, would we stand for what God calls us to do? And it really, as you listen to stories like this, you really wonder, how would you react? How deep is your faith, and how deep is your love for God? So that's a wonderful heritage that comes from the Netherlands.
That's true.
You know, Amsterdam, as we traveled to some of these places, I was struck by the canals.
Hmm.
I had no idea there were so many canals.
We have a lot of canals. The canals were like Venice, were like transportation opportunities for the people. Now, current this time, they are used for tourists to drive to the canals and to see the beautiful houses of Amsterdam.
Well, and there's so many houseboats just parked
Yes.
all along these
Yes.
canals.
Houseboats is really popular in these big cities with these canals.
Yeah, it's wonderful. It makes you think of like Venice or somewhere.
Yeah, you don't see it in the United States because the Netherlands is a lot older, as the same as Venice. It's an
Yeah.
older country.
It's wonderful. And I want to mention how much that the Dutch people have given to the world. Artists,
Yes.
Rembrandt,
Rembrandt, yes.
yes, and
His paintings.
we were in some of the great museums, artistic museums there.
We are a really small country, but we are everywhere across the world. We are participating in as much as we can, especially with water, doings, just protecting the water, football, soccer. We love that. I hope we're
That's
going to
right.
win about 2 years.
There we go. There we go.
We go for it. We are trying to participate in everything.
Yeah, the Dutch people have had a great influence here in this country.
Yes.
They, New York.
New York. First New York was New Amsterdam.
Yes.
We discovered it, and I think we give it back to the United States, something like that.
You let
But
us
first,
have it, huh?
first it was New Amsterdam, and after that it became New York.
Yes,
Yes.
yeah. So, when you begin to look at a country and what's happening, you realize the influence of all the immigrants who have come into our country. So
Yeah.
we truly are a country that's just wealthy because of those who have come from so many different places. Bryan, this has just been amazing to have you here today.
It was a pleasure to be here.
Would you like to leave any thought, anything
Yes.
with our people today?
Of course. To all the people that are watching to this program, I just want to encourage you to do something. If you feel desire or a call of God, just follow it. Just go for it. God will take care of your needs. He wants to take care of the things that you are struggling with, and He will take care of everything. If you take a step in faith, God will provide, and God will bless you. And I pray that you will follow God's plan for your life, that you will discover Him, that you will get to know Him, because His desire for all of you is that He wants to be in contact with you, and He wants to fill you with His amazing love.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
I usually end the show by saying adios, sayonara, and what would you say?
I will say tot ziens.
And what does that mean?
Goodbye.
Goodbye. And we just hope you'll be back with us the next time. Bye-bye. Okay, so we just sit.